In today's fight breakdown, we have yet another perfect example of jiu-jitsu being used in a real-life altercation. However, this time it is done by a police officer. Now, the officer in this video clearly has some level of training in jiu-jitsu. Few things that I would adjust. We're going to go over that later on the mat. So I'm going to show you exactly the areas that I would have done things differently if I was in the officer's shoes, but overall he handles the position very well. He handles the encounter very well, I should say. And this video just goes to show you how even just a little bit of grappling, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, just how far it goes in real life altercations, especially against somebody that has, again, no grappling experience. Now, the background to the story is apparently a bouncer kicks out a dude from the bar for being too drunk. The guy brandishes a handgun at some point. Officer gets a call. He's going to approach the guy. Now, the first thing I want to point out before we even start this video, if you're approaching somebody from the police officer's perspective, and we teach this to a lot of officers, you want to approach on the dominant side. Now, how are we going to know if a person's left-handed or right-handed? Majority of the people in the world are right-handed. So just out of the gate, we should already be approaching more towards the right side. This officer, as you're going to see, just kind of comes right up on the back and just kind of grabs the dude directly on the back of the shoulder. We don't really know what happens from there because the camera gets knocked off, but I feel like he could have gotten a little bit of a better control if he just immediately kind of went 2-on-1 on the guy's right side. But nonetheless, let's start the video. So he's talking with some random bystanders here. He's going to get the call about the man with the gun, starts running up to the guy. You're going to see he deploys. I'm not sure if he deploys. Yeah, it looks like he deploys his firearm at this point. He goes up, and as you can see, he just grabs the collar of the guy and then grabs the arm. Not really good position for him to get control from behind. Camera falls off. Fortunately for us, a good bystander sets up the camera. I'll be honest, if I was a bystander and I saw the body cam, I would be running up there getting all the best footage possible for this, right? We know what's going on live. Now here we have the officer in top mount. He's a little too postured for me, and what we're gonna see here is he kind of overcommits to one side as he's trying to isolate an arm, and exactly, he's gonna get swept as a result. I don't know why he didn't go close guard here to kind of keep the guy's posture broken. He also missed out on a beautiful opportunity to do a nice little tripod sweep there to get the guy on his butt again. So again, he's got some level of training. He's missing out on some basic fundamentals, though. Now it looks like he's got the arm. Again, he was like latched onto this arm from the get-go. He's still holding onto the arm close to his chest, which is great control. He's in some form of like a triangle lock position, though he's not actually initiating the triangle choke. Officers aren't allowed to do that in real life, I guess, unless you're in like a life or death situation. But he's got the triangle choke bite per se, but again, not the actual choke pressure. And he's just chilling here on his back. It does not look like the dude's actually giving a lot of resistance at this point. Now, again, I don't know what level of training the officer has. As I'll show you on the mats, there's a few opportunities where this guy could have easily just kind of like arm dragged the bad dude's arm away from him and used that as an opportunity to not only get back to his feet, but he could have taken the back, he could have taken top mount, he could have set up gift wrap position. So he has a lot of options if he decides to arm drag the arm across, but he doesn't. And then here you have his partner that comes up and gets full control of everything from there. So yeah, looks like he's in a good position now at this point. And again, he handles it really well. From whatever little training he has, he handles the encounter really well. But yeah, let me take a moment and just show you a few areas that I would have done differently. The biggest mistake I saw from this particular position, and you tend to see this with guys that are less experienced or don't have a ton of experience, is they tend to be too postured at this point, right? If I'm in mount and I'm trying to control somebody, I want to be sinking into them. I want to start creating that pressure. I ideally want to start scooping the head. And if I can start isolating and controlling these arms, it's going to make it very difficult for Cash here on the bottom to get any sort of momentum or power to be able to sweep me and get on top. What we saw in this officer's case was he's just simply kind of holding onto the arm here. And he actually, because one, he was super postured, and two, he starts leaning over this direction. The guy on bottom was simply able to bump roll, and he was able to end up on top. So if we were in that officer's position, again, first thing I would have done, sunken my hips down, look to start cross-facing. Even if his arms are here, like I can post his hands at this point, and again, start sinking my chest in, control those arms. Those arms aren't going anywhere. They're not grabbing anything. I can still scoop. And now, because I've got underneath his elbows, I can start isolating, and we can start looking to like a double underhook position from here, at least until his partner arrives. If I am looking to isolate an arm, and he starts going like this, it is fine if we are going to post the arm out here, but I can't stay postured. What I want to do is start, again, sinking my hips in, but now I'm essentially trying to go like a side crucifix a little bit. So I want to start taking my hips, the same side legs are going to start extending, and I'm going to start driving my hip and ribs into this guy's face. Now again, if I'm an officer, I'm wearing my vest, I got all my gear on, all that shit's just rubbing across his face. It's not going to be comfortable. Now I can also start kind of fully extending this arm. I don't want to stay in this position where my feet are kind of split. So ideally I would take this leg, look to come all the way over, work my hips up, and essentially come into like a side crucifix or side control position. I can scoop the crossface if I need to, but either way, this is a pretty good position for me to hang out. If the person on bottom starts kind of really bringing this arm, continuing to go in that way, right, I can actually pass the arm through. We can look to kind of gift wrap them from here, and then again, we can get into some form of a cuffing position, but that's a lot better way that he could have handled it if he was in mount. So instead, the officer leans too far forward, and now we kind of end up in this closed guard position. Now, he doesn't fully close his guard. He keeps his feet open a little bit if he wanted to stay in that guarded position. And again, he still did have kind of control of one of the arms. If I was going to stay in this guarded position but still want to maintain control, again, I don't want to be on my back, I would actually look to pass this arm all the way through, start extending this arm away from me. Yes, I understand that it's on the same side as what the officer's firearm was, but because I'm extending him away, I would then look to grab at the far lat, pull my chest in. Now I would start opening my guard and start looking to come around and either look to secure the back, not full time, just again to kind of work my way back out. At this point, I would start scooting, tossing the hips over, going belly down, and again, working out the back door to get back up into some form of a top mount position. That's one option that he has from that closed guard. Otherwise, what he could have done from this position is actually kind of worked his feet back in, still maintain control of one of the arms, start applying these kicks to again start creating that space, post that arm, start working up, and essentially he could have kind of worked up into a bit of a turtle position from here. Tons of takedown options. So again, just a few better options. He did also miss out on a beautiful sweep opportunity where, no, come back down, right? Where the guy's here, he's holding onto the arm, the bad guy starts to stand up and his feet stay super close. He easily could have just reached, grabbed the hip or grabbed the Achilles, and then either kept his knees inverted and swept him that way, or post his feet on his hips. Either way, he could have swept him. Rule of thumb, when you sweep somebody, you use that momentum to climb yourself up. At this point, he could have tossed one of the legs aside, immediately covered side control, and again, maintained a good dominant top position from there. Now, the video is hard to see. I don't know exactly the mechanics that he had with the triangle. It didn't look like he had the full triangle locked. It kind of looked like it was in a catch position, again, with one arm through. It's not a bad position to be in. And again, this officer handles the entire encounter very well. And it just goes to show you how little experience goes a long way against somebody that has no idea what they're doing. But nonetheless, this is still just not a great spot to be. And obviously, if he actually started choking him in the street, believe it or not, officer's probably gonna get in a lot more trouble in that case. But what he could have done, again, just acknowledging the position that he's in, because this arm was through, once again, I would have focused on just trying to bring this arm across, taking this leg down, and again, starting to kind of come out that back door and work up into this turtle position. Now, at any point during any of the scrambles, when he ends up in this turtle position, again, we can either just start looking to break the person down from here. I can, look to kind of do like this half Nelson, break them down, and look to cross face, and we can kind of go from there. I can look to like sweep the legs and buckle their hips, or bring them back down to like a gift wrap position, or if it's a position where he needs to get back up to his feet, which I believe this one did have a weapon involved. Now I'm in a good spot where I can post on the guy's back, start working away. I can draw my firearm, and again, I can start getting that distance or grab taser, whatever you need to do, but I can get to a safe distance before this guy has any time to really approach me. So again, officer handles it pretty well overall. Those are a couple areas where I think he could have handled it a little bit better and put himself in a better controlling position. I don't mind mount. One more time. I don't mind being in mount, but the risk of being in mount on the street, I'm very limited on what I can do. I can't get up to my feet quickly, and again, if I shift my weight one way wrong too much, or if I'm postured too much, it's going to be easy for this guy to sweep me. The only other thing I would suggest that this cop does, if he acknowledged that, instead of sinking down into mount, post work up to like a knee on belly position and kind of just stayed in this position where, again, my shin and knees covering their waistband, my firearms away from him, I'm controlling both of their hands, or I can kind of do like one of these posts here a little bit, and I can also switch if I need to. That's really the only other thing I would throw in there. But yeah, other than that, let's go train. You can see just how effective it is in the street against somebody that has little to no experience. Now, I know that Renner Gracie posted a video kind of breaking this down, and I believe he interviewed the cop in it, but in my opinion, he kind of just used that as a plug for his safe wrap system. And I understand the safe wrap system is now like this new system that cops need to be using to control and isolate somebody on the ground. It's nothing new. If I'm being honest with you, there's nothing new about that. There's no like game-breaking techniques that are being shown there. It's a gift wrap position. You're gift wrapping the arms, you're interweaving the legs, you're controlling the hips. Like, it's basic jiu-jitsu control. They're just slapping a name to it and slapping it as a system. But honestly, as you saw in this video, even just a little bit of jiu-jitsu training, maybe even some wrestling training, goes a long way in the streets, especially again if you're dealing with somebody that has little to no experience, or even if they're intoxicated. At the end of the day, we're trying to control the hips, we're trying to control the shoulders and the head. If you're able to get them into some form of like gift wrap or any sort of position where you're kind of pretzeling their arms together, there's not much that they're going to be able to do. And as I demonstrated on the mats, we really don't want to be in a mount position. We would rather be more in like a technical mount or side control, knee on belly, somewhere that we can easily pop back up to our feet a little bit better. But again, hats off to the officer, he handled this well, and more importantly, hats off to the bystander for setting up the camera, because let's be honest, if we didn't have that, we would have never known what happened, and we wouldn't have been able to break that video down. Stay safe.